Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, we are continuing the coverage of the missing Georgia toddler, Quinton Simon. There has been another update, and as I've been going along sharing this story, it's based on when new information comes out so that we can continue to keep you updated on this very sad case. And so today we're diving into a phone call between Billie Jo Howell and Quinton Simon's dad, Bubba. And so we're going to be sharing with you what is it that we know up to date. Before we dive into it, I will share no one has been arrested for this. I don't even know if they're any closer to helping solve this. So let's go ahead and dive into it, why don't we? Missing Georgia toddler Quinton Simon's grandmother thinks he drowned in the bath after his mom Leilani passed out while high on drugs. Now, this is according to a new report. Billie Jo Howell, she shared her theory on the case and much more in a Bombshell conversation on Saturday, which was just a few days ago on October 22nd, with the child's biological father, Henry Bubba Moss. Her daughter, Leilani Simon, 22 years old, has been named the main suspect in the disappearance of her 18-month-old son, Quinton, who vanished from his Savannah, Georgia home on October 5th. In an audio, 11-minute long phone call that was obtained exclusively by dailymail.com, Billie Jo can be heard saying, "I feel honestly and frankly, Bubba, I'm not going to lie to you, I feel like there was an accident." And she continues and she says, "I feel like something happened while Quinton was in the bathtub and he drowned and they were both high. That's my theory." She says, or he says, "Hell, they should have just called the police if something like that happened." Bubba replied to Grandma Billie Jo, "If you're high as hell, man, you do stupid shit," said Billie Jo. And Billie Jo said police, meanwhile, have shared their own suspicion that Leilani, the boy's mother, blacked out that morning. And she says the police are the ones saying that she went into a traumatic state and blacked out. She told Bubba in this phone call. It's not her saying she don't remember. That's what police told her. And that's what they told me. Billie Jo was away when her 18-month-old grandson vanished from their home in Savannah early October 5th. And according to police, Leilani's boyfriend, Danny Youngkin, was the last one to see him around 6 a.m. It wasn't until after 9 a.m. that his mother reported him missing. Police do suspect that Quinton's body was placed in a dumpster, and investigators have been searching for the body in a nearby landfill. Leilani is the prime suspect in the disappearance and presumed death of the 18-month-old, but police are yet to make an arrest. Now, Child Protective Services also removed her two other children from her custody on October 12th. On Monday, October 24th, Leilani spoke out claiming she has now become a prisoner in her own home after being suspected of being involved in her son's disappearance. The young mother told WTOC in a teary interview how she has had to barricade herself in her yard to hide from protesters, with some even leaving signs like "baby killer" on a memorial she set up outside for her son. Now, one of the things that grabs my attention is that this sign here, for example, Billie Jo and Leilani, baby killers. I don't know why this person posted that because Billie Jo hasn't been named a suspect at all in this. She allegedly wasn't anywhere near when this happened. So I'm not too sure why they're putting Billie Jo's name as baby killer. And this is where it gets hard with a lot of these so-called protesters trying to find answers. They'll freaking dig under any rock and ruin your life just to try to find an answer. Is that fair? I don't think that's fair, but it is what it is, right? And so, why Billie Jo's name is attached to this, I really don't know, as she has not been named a suspect. And so, she says, I'm here. I've been here every day since this. I'm not running and I'm not hiding. That's what Leilani told the local news station. And if something does come up that I am at fault, I will take myself to the police station. That's what she is sharing in this interview. Now, Bubba said that Leilani kept her pregnancy with Quinton a secret from him. FBI agents assume the boy is dead and are searching a landfill for Quinton's body. Bubba said that Leilani kept her pregnancy with Quinton a secret from him, and that's where FBI's agents, they believe that the boy is dead and that they're searching a landfill for Quinton's body. And we'll dive into a little more of that towards the end because that's where I struggle to trust Billie Jo. But she went on to slam protesters who have been gathering outside her home, saying it makes it hard to even process what's going on around us. She says, I can't even walk out and appreciate my own son's memorial or put down gifts that I got for him, she continued. And in their phone conversation, Bubba asked Billie Jo, who has legal custody of Quinton and his older brother, why police are so confident he was dumb. She says they're saying they've got video. Nobody's seen the video. Now, they could have been saying that to try to get a confession. There is no way that they're going to show this video yet. At least until later on, if there really is a video out there. Because many times the cops will lie to get you to confess. Just part of it, right or wrong, I don't know, but they do that. And so we don't know if this is true, just so you know. Both she and Bubba were wondering why Danny wasn't also named a suspect, expressing anger that he has since left town. The rumor was he was staying with family in Atlanta, but Billie Jo said he was actually in North Carolina. She says he lied about going to Atlanta. He's not in Atlanta. He's in Dunn, North Carolina. I'm trying to expose him right now online the best I can. And the grandmother has spent much of the last couple of weeks holed up at home with her daughter, Leilani, her husband, and other family and friends who have come to support them. She told Bubba that she feels like a prisoner in her own house as the police investigation enters its third week. But she said the fact investigators haven't made an arrest suggests their case is weak. And she says, I feel like the FBI is putting a lot of heat on all of us as a family, including you. And they're doing it on purpose, like they want to break us all down, like there's something we will run up there and tell them. And those are her words in this conversation with Bubba. She was also skeptical that the FBI will be able to find whether the FBI will be able to find Quinton's body in the landfill. And she says, you gotta figure there's a lot of trucks that go out there and dump, she said. And it was a week before they decided that was where they was gonna go. So that's a lot of trucks all week. And Bubba shared his own news, informing Billie Jo that the FBI tested his DNA to confirm that he's Quinton's biological father. He told DailyMail.com earlier in the day that police confronted him shortly after Quinton's disappearance after Leilani falsely accused him of snatching the child. And in speaking with Billie Jo, Bubba didn't talk about that. He was fishing for information on the case and let her do most of the talking. She said, people hate me. She said this in despair. Billie Jo said she was away when Quinton went missing and that she had no idea that the children were in danger. And she says, I promise you, I would have never, ever, ever left those babies in a situation that was bad for them, she told Bubba. She says, I knew Leilani and Danny were having their problems, but I didn't really see it affecting the kids, she would continue. She said the stress has been wearing her down, and the noise of protesters gathered outside her house, honking horns and yelling baby killers into the night has made life even more unbearable. She explained that she tried to escape the noise early last week by traveling to Tybee Island, a nearby vacation resort. She, Leilani, and a few friends checked into a motel, then went out drinking at a bar. There were media reports of them downing shots of Patron while smiling on the same day the FBI began a search for little Quinton in the landfill. Billie Jo was mortified when the news got out, telling Bubba that they should have just stayed at the motel rather than go out drinking at Stingray's. And she says, we left from here, which is Savannah, because of the protesters. It got so bad. My friends from out of town that come down here to support me, they stayed close to me for 2 days and then decided to get a room at the beach for 2 days. And we went down there. And I told them, I don't think it's a good idea that we go out in public with y'all. I think it's better we stay here at the motel room. And they're like, what? You can't go have dinner? She continued. Now I rationalized in my head. Yeah, why can't we go have dinner? You know what I mean? And the next thing you know, we were partying and screaming and hollering. And that's not the case, she tells Bubba. Leilani didn't even drink. Now I drank both drinks that were ordered for Leilani. I drank a friend's drink, and I drank mine. So I was messed up. And then, of course, I went and laid on the beach and just cried. But they didn't play that part, you know? At one point in the conversation, Bubba asked how Leilani was faring, and Billie Jo replied that she's doing the best she can. Leilani's been trying to keep her mind busy with doing a lot of recovery stuff. Leilani, who has a history of abusing drugs, is starting a rehab program this week, she pointed out. She's also receiving counseling through a city program called Hugs. She's got a lot of different stuff going on with that, she said. The bad thing is, I'm asking, hey, what can I do? She said she's desperate to regain a sense of normalcy. It's been really hard, she confided to Bubba. And the protesters and stuff like that out there, we can't even process what our next move needs to be and what we need. I'm trying to figure out if it's a good idea that I go back to work, she added, and I need to go back to work. The last thing I want to do is bring this kind of attention to a job site. I won't have a job long. And now nobody can go anywhere by ourselves, she continued. Everybody has to have a riding partner. You can't leave. The only time Leilani can leave is when we sneak her out for appointments that she has. They kept returning to the subject of drugs and how that may have played a role in Quinton's disappearance. You're a different person when you do drugs, Billie Jo said. I'm not defending her, you know what I mean? But I know I'm not the same person on drugs. Actually, if I'm on drugs, you all ain't gonna see Billy nowhere because Billy got to go hide out with the addicts. I can't go to work. I can't look at people in the face. I can't. I gotta go. I gotta go MIA. But that's how I do. Well, I feel like it was an accident. Let me repeat that. Well, I feel like if it was an accident, they should have just called the police. That's what Bubba would respond. And Billie Jo says, I agree. Billie Jo continued to vent about feeling trapped. And she says, the police told me that, a matter of fact, they told me if I felt like I needed to get away, I needed to leave and go somewhere, that Leilani needs to stay here, she shared. At one point, Billie Jo seems to address a comment to both Bubba and Leilani, who may have been listening to this phone conversation. And she says, I don't mean this in no kind of way, Leilani, but who the F don't leave their own house, Billie Jo said. You know what I mean? That's how you would feel if we was in different shoes. Who the F don't leave their own house? Now, as the phone conversation winded down, Billie Jo offered Quinton's father some love. And she says, I don't know, baby, but I know no matter what, you're in my family and you're in my heart, she told him. Yeah, I just wanted to know if y'all heard anything else, Bubba would reply. I don't know. As soon as I do, honey, you'll be one of the first ones I call, she told him. It was late afternoon and Bubba, standing outside his home in Girard, Georgia, a rural town 85 miles from Savannah, was preparing to head out for the season's first day of deer hunting. And he says, all right, well, I'm fitting to go deer hunting, so I guess I'll talk to you later, he tells Billie Jo. All right, I love you, she replied. All right, he said, love you. Before he could hang up, she half joked. Bring us some deer meat now. You know we can't leave the house. All right, he said, and she replied, we prisoners. Meanwhile, Quinton's uncle and namesake, Nathaniel Quinton Betterton, is in prison for manslaughter and robbery, and Howell is said to have a lengthy rap sheet herself. And this is where it gets a little hard whether to trust Billie Jo. I literally do not know if I can trust Billie Jo. What do you think? Do you trust Billie Jo? I'm a little torn. I'm a little torn whether we can trust Billie Jo. Because one second, it's rumored that she says that her daughter did something with the baby that caused them to be in the landfill. The next minute, she's saying that she thinks this incident, I mean, that's hard to understand on that whole thing. And so you have to ask yourself, what do you think? Do you think that Billie Jo knows more than she's sharing? Or is she just being a loving mother to her daughter who's going through a lot? It's really hard to understand where, because she shared this text with Darkness Exposed. Thank you for joining us, Darkness Exposed. Darkness Exposed. She may still be on here. Go check out her channel. The things that she is doing, she truly cares about the victims. She has an amazing backstory, and she is out there fighting the fight. And so check out her Darkness Exposed channel. If you're on Twitter, check her out there as well. But she shared this text message from Billie Jo, who Billie shared that he's in a landfill and my daughter done it. She has no memory of it. Now, remind you that she tells Bubba that the police are the ones saying that she blacked out. So that's where this message gets a little confusing too. She has no memory of it. Who tells Billie Jo that? Who tells Billie Jo that? So that's where it gets really hard to, I don't know if I trust Billie Jo. 1 minute she's so upset at the babysitter, and the babysitter did nothing wrong except tell her version of things. And the way she went at Diana, the babysitter, I thought they were about to shoot some fives, throw down. I'm like, oh my gosh, this lady has a temper. And so I'm glad that got caught on video. Maybe the video is what made her not go further, because she was pretty ticked. She was the one saying, my baby's not dead, my baby is alive, or something along those lines. So you really stop and you think about that. What happened? What happened, Billie Jo? Because we want to know, what did your daughter do to this baby? 1 minute, Danny says he sees the baby. The next minute, 3 hours later, you guys are saying the baby's missing. And then she's trying to blame the dad, saying that he came in from the back of the house and then took little Quinton. That doesn't even make sense, right? That doesn't make sense. So my question is, can you trust Billie Jo? Now again, this phone conversation, I don't know how Daily Mail got it. It was an exclusive to dailymail.com. In the conversation, she doesn't sound pretty stressed about where is my baby at that moment. She's cracking jokes about deer meat because she's a prisoner in her own home because of all the people outside picketing her place. Protesters, they want answers. And when a little 18-month-old beautiful child goes missing, you best believe the whole world is coming down on you. That's why I'm covering this. This needs more eyeballs. I want to know what happened to little Quinton. Someone robbed this little boy of a future. They truly need to pay. Now you look at this. Thank you, JDR. That's where in that interview, I was just going to share that in that interview, she looks more concerned than Leilani. In the interview, I felt Leilani had crocodile tears, like she was forcing herself to look like she was upset. Like she was forcing herself to find some tears somewhere. So, Unruffled shares no trust either. JDR, I read your thing so fast. You were saying she seems to not care. So, yeah, and that's where it's like, what is going on here? In that interview, though, I felt like the grandma seemed like she was a little more upset. But Leilani, she was more concerned about the picketers. Like, what? So, I agree with you. I feel like someone knows. And if mom and grandma are going to go hang out in a bar after she accused Leilani of doing something, to me, that is suspect. Like grandma, do you think she did something or you don't? You've said that you don't really think she tries to do her best. Here's the truth. She's only 22 years old. She's very, very young. And so she still had a lot of wising up to do. I'm with you, Amy. I'm starting to, after this phone conversation, I started to have doubts about her. And so the way she attacked the babysitter, I agree with you, Amy. I totally agree with you. And that's where I think like it's like, okay, she herself, I believe that this lady should face some charges, and here's why. I'm not saying charges for the death, negligent charges. You left you left the babies with the ones you have custodial guardianship over with this unfit 22-year-old mother. So you can go do, I think you had a work related thing. But the question is, you knew she was unfit. Why did you leave her with her? Why? Now, granted, you say now, like if I knew this was going to be the case, I would have never left. But you're talking about a mother who, when she had a baby, she tested positive for for drugs. I mean, that's irresponsible. 22 years old. Again, she had a lot of years to wisen up. And so I will say, at 22, a lot of people are not ready to be a mother. A lot of times, motherhood changes you. But she has 3 kids. 3 kids now. And minus Quinton, like, it's so confusing where this story's gonna go. And this is exactly why I'm covering this. If you are new to my channel, I have a whole playlist around Quinton Simon that you can continue to follow from day one when I started sharing this. And so this is where we are trying to find, because little Quinton deserves justice. Justice for Quinton Simon. Justice for Quinton Simon. And so let's find out what happened. Let's get more information. I'll tell you this, I'm starting to wonder if they're wasting their time in the landfill. Like almost like, I mean, this girl has not been showing much remorse. She's not really, she finally got on camera, which means to me, it took you that long to say, that alone, you should have been that same day. Where's my son? Where's my son? Oh my gosh, where's my son? And I will say Billie Jo made a good comment, a good point on this. Why aren't they looking at Danny Youngkin? If Danny sees the baby at 6 in the morning, 3 hours later, the baby's reported missing, help me understand why Danny's not a suspect. That part is I don't understand it either. So JDR, I'm starting to believe you, man. I'm starting to agree there. At first, I felt like Billie Jo had the baby's best interest at heart. Now I question it. I understand that you want to give the mom second, third chances. The more I do of these videos, I'm like, oh my gosh, why did they ever give that child back? When we were taken from foster care, I never got returned back to my mom. My second youngest brother never got returned to mom. The youngest brother got returned to mom later on, and that did not go very well. Number one, my mom wasn't ready to take care of him because he was out of hand, and she was sick with HIV. So she wasn't ready to take care of him, but he was an older kid. He should have been able to take care of himself, right? But it didn't work that way. So I get it. Like, I think they need to put these parents more through the ringer. Are you ready to get your child back? I mean, Leilani lost the custody of her children. And now look at what's going on. She doesn't have the custody of her children anymore. None of them. My guess is because, number one, they find proof that you're an unfit mother, Leilani. And Billie Jo, well, you can't seem to handle your part of it. We're taking the children away from you as well. And let me tell you, as someone who's been through the foster system, I was lucky I got to be with my aunt. My 2 brothers were not with my aunt. To be with strangers, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. So my heart is going out to these kids. And Bubba, he shares that she wouldn't let him see him. And he had to kick Leilani out because of all the drugs and all the lying, and then she wouldn't let him see him. Well, my dude, you should have been fighting harder for this child of yours. And even one of the other dads said, he would have never thought it would come down to this. And now he's afraid of what's going on with his child. So, my friends, if you're a person of prayer, please, please pray for the healing of those children. Pray that we get some justice for Quinton. This cannot remain unsolved at all. My friends, my whole focus is to keep you updated on what could go wrong in this crazy world we live in, like this story. This is a strange story. You're talking about the babysitter who sent pictures of bruises on Quinton Simon's body to Billie Jo. That's a sign of abuse right there. If Quinton was in custody of Billie Jo, why were there marks on this child? That alone bothers me. And that's why I do these videos, to keep you aware, to keep you alert, so that maybe you can find that little detective part in you and you don't stay quiet. Don't stay quiet, my friends. And here is why. This is a messed up world we live in. And if you stay quiet, there's a chance someone else will get hurt. You can do a lot of anonymous tips. Okay, so don't stay quiet. My friends, if this is the type of content you like to follow, please hit on that subscribe button. And if you got value out of this video, hit that like. That way YouTube will show it to more people. And at the end of the day, my goal is to keep you updated on what could go wrong in this crazy world we live in. My friends, if you are a fan and you are willing to support, check out the description. Buy me a coffee. Share that, hey, keep doing what you're doing, because at the end of the day, this engagement, that lets me know that you got some value. People are following. People want justice. That alone helps a lot. I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have a super terrific day. And again, let's pray justice for Quinton. I look forward to serving you guys again. I look forward to sharing more stories of these victims to help give them another voice. Because just like little Quinton, taking away from this world way too soon. JDR, I agree with you, my friends. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you. Have a good one. Peace.